So, this is my first time driving by myself. Epic. Not doing anything too crazy. I'm just driving on down to the store. That's a 5-minute drive, if that. Okay. So, to bring you along with me. It's my first time driving by myself. I've driven a lot recently, but with someone in the car with me. And so I just got my driver's license. And so I had the freedom to go out and drive by myself. So figured easy trip. Just go down to the store down the street that I have to be on Highway 4. But wait, Sebby, aren't you like 24, 25? Don't you need, shouldn't you already have your driver's license? And yeah, probably, to some extent, you would probably already want your driver's license by that age, but the driving world has not been too kind to me. And, so I'll tell you a little bit of reason why I didn't get my driver's license till now. So, I grew up in Hawaii, Maui, and Maui is notorious, or Hawaii, more like, is notorious for really bad driving. Just notorious. It has, like, the worst driving in America. And so I know a lot of my friends and a lot of people I know who were in Hawaii, they would go back to the mainland, which is the rest of America, to get their driver's license and do the driving test and all that, and they come back just because the driver, the DMVs, the driving instructors, all that is just incredibly annoying and difficult and doesn't necessarily want to do their job correctly. Does not want to do their job correctly. And so they couldn't really, so I figured, okay, I'm going to wait until I move back to the mainland to get my driver's license. Just because it'll be easier, and being on the island, I can take a bus everywhere I need to go, and there's not much reason to have a car because it takes just like a couple hours just to drive across from one point of the island to the other. So to me, logically, it didn't make sense to do all that, get a car, and then leave the car behind. So I just decided to wait until I moved back. So I moved back to Oregon when I was 19 years old, and my first year being back, I had a infected ingrown toenail. Oh, it is really stormy right now. I had an infected ingrown toenail, so I could not walk for the first year of me being back. So I was disabled, basically, and I couldn't even really work. And my toe was always bleeding, and that was actually my first ever YouTube video, was me getting toe surgery. So you may have seen that, and that's the reason why. So then I finally got that fixed. Okay, going to the second year. I was just I was working a lot, and then I ended up going and moving to California for a few months. And when that happened, I was indecisive on where I want to get my driver's license. Oregon or California, and with my dad or my mom, but due to certain events, I ended up moving back to Oregon. And when I did that, I went back to work, and I was working a lot more. And I was just focused on work, trying to save up my money, and just get through life, basically. And then when that happened, so then I was like, okay, you know what? I'm 22. I should get my driver's license. I need it. I want it. And so I ended up going to my tests. And then when I did my testing, I did my written tests, I failed 3 times, not because of any, this guy part is stupid, not because of anything necessarily wrong, but I got every test done correctly on what was on the manual, but they had just enough tricky questions and stupid questions to where I could not pass. So what? And by the way, I'm parking in the parking lot now at the store. So what? So I failed like 3 times, I think 3 or 4 times, and then like one of the questions was, how do you save on gas? Option A, roll down the windows. Option B, you go do all your shopping in one day. And option C is like, what was it? Like don't leave your car warming up or something like that. It was really weird and stupid questions. And so that was something on my test. And certain, like a SHARO, if you don't know what a SHARO is, you'd fail that test. There's multiple questions about what a SHARO is. Apparently SHARO is the correct definition of the bike lane, and apparently there's a lot of SHAROs in Oregon. I did not grow up with SHAROs in Maui, so I didn't know what a SHARO was. And so then I was really on the grind. I did like my test one day after another, and then they were like, okay, you need to wait. And when that happened, COVID happened. And so then 2 years goes by where I don't get my driver's. I can't do it because of COVID. DMV shuts down, and then, just the whole pandemic and all that craziness that went down, COVID related. And so then, finally, about 7-8 months ago, I put in for appointment, and the only appointment they let me go to is the one way down in Brookings, which is basically on the border of California, on the Oregon coast. So, and they had me wait like a 4-month wait period. So I ended up going to Brookings, which was a nice road trip, and I failed my test again because of the stupid questions. And then the guy was gay, and so I was able to seduce him a little bit. Do I feel bad? A little bit, but it felt necessary to do so because I was so annoyed and tired of doing it. So I managed to seduce him. I talked like, oh my gosh, that's just super not gay, but talk to him like seduce him in a sense. Be nice, be like charming and stuff like that. And because he told me that I would have to wait another month or 2. And so I told him that that my job had a promotion for me that I needed my driver's permit for, which was sort of true, yes, because I was being offered another job position at my job that I could drive around in go-karts, but I need a driver's permit because I cross a main road. And so he's like, okay, you know what? I don't normally do this. I'm not allowed to do this necessarily, but I understand your frustration, and I'm here for you. Why don't you come back the next day, and we can do it again? I'm like, okay. And so then we stayed in a Hotel in California, and that was a fun adventure. That was fun. And then the next day I went back, And I feel like he was able to control the options because it was just the most easiest, like, literally anyone could possibly, like, what does the red hexagon mean? Stop sign. Like, stuff like that. It was so simple. It was stupid easily. And so I feel like he had pity, and so he gave me just these super easy ones. So I ended up getting my driver's permit, and due to the fact that I'm 24, I could legally go back the next day or that day and get my driver's license. But I haven't driven a car legally yet, so I wanted to wait. I wanted to give myself 5 months to practice driving and see how, so I can get a feel for it, so that I can go into my driver's license and I can pass 100% all the way through. And so that's what I've been doing for the past few months. I've been waiting, testing driving, going on like freeways, highways, different weather types, everything you need to do to know how to drive a car. And so finally, we made an appointment. Here. We made an appointment, and then it was, we made it in Baker City. Once again, they kind of were like, okay, you have 3 options to do it. You can either do it here, here, here. And so I'm like, okay, well, let's go to Baker. We have family there, and it's a good road trip, and I'm also familiar with the roads in the town, so it should be fairly simple for me to do that. And so we did that, and so then a couple days ago, like last week, we went down for Thanksgiving, and we visited my family, and we did a small Thanksgiving, and then on the 22nd, November 22nd, I went in for my driver's license, and the DMV people were all very nice at first. I thought they were, just shitty people, like most DMV people are, but the DMV people were really nice, very funny, and I had this guy who gave me the test. He was very nice, and we did the test, and and then also to further explain why Hawaii has terrible driving stuff. My mom, when she had to go back and redo her driver's license, when her driver's license expired, she got marked down because she didn't put her parking brake on a flat surface, and she got marked down for that. She passed, but she got marked down. And so I'm like, is that a actual thing? Is that like by guidelines you have to put on parking brakes on flat surfaces? Like, I understand if you're like on a hill, if you're like in Astoria or, San Francisco or something like that, or like any decline or incline, but just on a flat normal surface. So I asked my driver instructor that, and he was flabbergasted. He's like, I've never heard of anything like that before. That's so stupid. And so, and apparently I can also use my backup cameras, which, the car's turned off, I can't do it right now, which I have backup cameras, side cameras, and front camera on this car that I'm driving. And so I asked if I was allowed to use that, and he said, first you have to use your eyes to look around, turn your body and stuff like that, but once you do that, you can also use the cameras. So I'm like, okay, cool. So I did my test, driving, everything was super easy peasy. Drove the speed limit, and at one point I didn't see the speed limit on one road, so I asked him what the speed limit was. He said he can't tell me, so I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna go for safety, and I'm gonna go 25, which everywhere around there was either 20, 25, or 30, so I'll play it safe and go 25. And so, and then it was like the very last thing he had me do before he pulled back in the DMV. He asked me to not parallel park, but pull up alongside the sidewalk. And I practiced parallel parking that day. I never parallel parked, and I've always like missed the opportunity to parallel park while driving and testing before. So like last minute, I learned how to parallel park. Like literally like an hour before the driver's license test, I learned how to parallel park. And I was doing it pretty well. And so he was like, okay, pull up along this sidewalk, and I did that, and he said, okay, now I want you to back up 2 car lengths, and, oh, also, and when you're going on the driver's license, when you're going to do your driving test, it says on the little pamphlet that if you hit a curb at any point, it's an automatic failure. So when he had me pull up to the curb and he had me back up, the curb was like, it wasn't straight. It was like a little wonky for some reason. And so when I went to back up, my tire nudged the curb, not a lot, but just like you could feel it. And in my heart sunk, my whole body went cold and numb. I'm like, oh my god, did I just lose? Did I just fail my driver's test? And so then he had us drive back and pulled up, and then he went and did his scoring and stuff like that. And then I was with my aunt and my mom, and outside where he told me to wait. And then he said, so how do you think I did? And I was like, oh, well, I think I did pretty good. And then, but I did nudge the tire for a second. And he says, oh, yeah, so I did mark you on that, but you passed. And I just got this burst of enjoyment, like, yes, finally, fuck yeah, you know, all that fun stuff. And then he said, I also marked you down for not putting on your parking, for your emergency parking on a flat surface. And I'm like, what? And then he just said, no, I'm just messing with you. So he was really nice and funny. So yeah, so I got my driver's license. I drove 10 hours back, a couple days, like 2 days late, yesterday, 2 days before today. 2 days ago, there we go. 2 days ago, I drove 10 hours from Baker City back to the Oregon coast. Fun travels, fun time. I like road trips. And yeah, so now I am an official driver. So I'm gonna go into the store, get some shit, and